Hello and welcome to Naad Education. This series of lectures is to clear our basics of biology before we get on to more complicated topics. The topic for us today is types of kingdom classification. In this, we deal with two kingdom classification, three kingdom classification, and so on. The most popular among them is five kingdom classification, but we'll also look at six kingdom and seven kingdom classification, which have been recently introduced. And you must understand what are the terms and what are the kingdoms and how are the studies for doing classification being done. So here it is. In lecture 2, we are going to look at various types of kingdom classification. Earliest being the two kingdom classification, and the most popular among them being the five kingdom classification, and then the six kingdom and the seven kingdom. How were they distributed? How were these kingdoms created? We will talk about these things in this video. So we'll start with the two kingdom classification. This is the earliest of the classification and it was formulated by Carolus Linnaeus back in 1707. Carolus Linnaeus was alive between 1707 to 1778, and during his lifetime he introduced the two kingdom classification, and in that he has actually created three kingdoms. Two of them are for living organisms. The animal kingdom he called as regnum animale, and the plant kingdom, or which he termed as the vegetable kingdom, is called the regnum vegetabile. And then there was a third kingdom which was for minerals, or the non-life kingdom, which was regnum lapidum. But in the two system classification of living organisms, there were two kingdoms, which were the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. The next one is the three kingdom classification. So this three kingdom classification, two people proposed it. One was John Hogg, whose photo is not present on the slide, and the other one was Ernst Haeckel, whose photo is on the right, the black and white photo. And Ernst Haeckel proposed the kingdom Protista, which you can see in this tree right in the center. And that kingdom Protista included all the primitive animals and that were non-plants, that were not plants, that were not animals, but all the single-celled microscopic primitive animals, as he called them. This was in 1866. There was another person in 1860 before Ernst Haeckel who called John Hogg, whose photo is not present on this slide. He also proposed a kingdom called Proctista, 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 as the third kingdom of life, composed of all the lower creatures or the primitive or primary organic beings. So somewhere around 1860 and 1866 these were included. Now on the left you can see the photo of Antony van Leeuwenhoek, who actually sent the photos of microscopic single-celled organisms to Royal Society of London back in 1674. And they were not basically photos but the figures that he drew, so you can see how well they can draw also. And these figures that Antony van Leeuwenhoek actually sent was somewhere back in 1674, and after which the two kingdom classification was made by Carl Linnaeus. But if you see in Linnaeus classification of two kingdom, he did not include any microorganisms or these primitive organisms or any kingdom which included Protista. But Ernst Haeckel and John Hogg included them as a separate kingdom apart from plants and animals. So in 1937, Edward Chatham devised the four system classification or four kingdom classification. In this, you can see that there are two empires, basically two big groups which are above the kingdom called prokaryota and eukaryota. So if you don't know, then prokaryotes are the individuals which do not have a distinct nucleus, and eukaryotes are the individuals which have a distinct nucleus. And prokaryotes included all these organisms, unicellular organisms, microscopic organisms that did not have a distinct nucleus, and they were grouped into the kingdom Monera. And next was the empire Eukaryota, which had three kingdoms: kingdom Protista, which had the unicellular or microscopic organisms which had a distinct nucleus, and then there were kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. So these were the four kingdoms, in which the three kingdoms were grouped under the empire Eukaryota, which had cells with a distinct nucleus, and the empire Prokaryota had the organisms which did not have a distinct nucleus. In our further videos, we will be talking about many more differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Now we come to the one of the most popular classification system, which is the five kingdom classification. It was given by Robert Whittaker in 1969, and it included five kingdoms. The uniqueness of this is that it included an additional kingdom of fungi. So in this chart, you can see that the blue small boxes show you the five kingdoms. Monera, as you know, are the unicellular or microscopic prokaryotic cells which do not have a distinct nucleus. The larger subkingdom or empire of eukaryota have unicellular organisms with a distinct nucleus. So all the eukaryotes will have a distinct nucleus, and the unicellular ones were called as the protista. The multicellular are further divided into organisms that do not have a cell wall. Their cells do not have a cell wall, and that is that forms the group Animalia. Then there are organisms with the cell wall, so they can be phototrophic, such as the plantae. All the plants come into that, so they are phototrophic, they can synthesize their own food, and they can be either heterotrophic, or you can call them mainly saprotrophic, meaning that they feed on the dead and decaying organisms, and they too also have a cell wall, but they do not synthesize their own food. So somewhere you can call them heterotrophic also, but another term that is used for them is saprotrophic, that they feed on the dead decaying matter. So with this classification, now we had five kingdoms, and there were several advantages of the five kingdom classification which are mentioned here. I'm not going to go into the detail, but it can be used for notes. We now come to an interesting six kingdom classification which was proposed by Carl Weiss in 1977. Based on the study by Carl Weiss on the ribosomal RNA, on the structure of the ribosomal RNA of the bacteria, he identified that there are two types of prokaryotes or two types of bacteria. So bacteria, these two types of bacteria, one is the eubacteria or the uh, the normal bacteria that we know of, and the other one is the archaebacteria. So once these two were separated, there were two kingdoms under prokaryota, and the monera, kingdom monera, got separated into eubacteria and archaebacteria. In some later lectures we will talk about the differences between archaebacteria and eubacteria, but for the sake of classification and how this classification became a six kingdom classification, the monera got split into eubacteria and archaebacteria. The archaebacteria were slightly different and had different properties from the regular bacteria that were seen, and the study that Carl Lewis did was on the ribosomal RNA structure. Lastly, we come to the seven kingdom classification. This is one of the most recent ones, and this is somewhere around after, I think, 1998 or close by, when Thomas Cavalier Smith created these two large super kingdoms. Well, he grouped them as super kingdoms prokaryota and super kingdom eukaryota as before, and now you can see the seven kingdoms. So he retains the kingdom bacteria or eubacteria and then kingdom archaebacteria by splitting the monera, which happened in the six kingdom classification. These are the two kingdoms under the super kingdom prokaryota, and after that you have kingdom protozoa, which is again unicellular eukaryotic organisms with a distinct nucleus. You see kingdom Plantae, kingdom Fungi and kingdom Animalia same as the six kingdom and the five kingdom classification, but now we also have another kingdom called kingdom Chromista. Now these are interesting organisms. So based on the electron microscopy studies, it revealed that certain organisms had their chloroplast located in the lumen of the endoplasmic reticulum, which is an organelle in the cell, instead of the cytosol. So the plant cell generally has its chloroplast in the cytosol, but these organisms, which were later grouped under the kingdom Chromista, had their chloroplast in the lumen of endoplasmic reticulum, and based on that, and also the chloroplast of these chromista had another chlorophyll element called chlorophyll C, which was not there in the individuals of kingdom Plantae. So these plant-like individuals were made into a separate kingdom, and thus we had five kingdoms within the subkingdom Eukaryota and two kingdoms within the super kingdom. Sorry, five kingdoms within the super kingdom Eukaryota and two kingdoms within the super kingdom Prokaryota. So based on this, we have the seven kingdom classification, and now I would like to, before ending this lecture, I would like to introduce some other terms that you might find in the literature and you should not get confused about them. So one of them is archezoa. When you say archezoa, these are the protista that lack mitochondria. Then there is Paucibacteria, which are the gram positive bacteria, and then there is the Neji bacteria, which are the gram negative bacteria. So sometimes these taxa also appear in classifications, but you should not be confused if you do not see them, unlike in the regular classification schemes. Hope you understood some of it. This was just a very introductory sort of classification systems, because there are a lot of um, questions regarding different types of kingdom classifications, and who contributed to it, and what are the classes or kingdoms that are present in this. So it's a very rough structure to understand, and we will dive deeper into other topics such as differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes, differences between bacteria and archaebacteria, and other things in much more detail later on. So, for now, this is it. If you liked the explanation, then you can, hopefully you will like the video, and please share it with your friends so that they also have better understanding. Don't be jealous of them. And lastly, don't reserve the video not for only for yourself. Share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel for other such videos and playlists. Thank you so much. See you next time.